What happens when one of the most talked about women in the world walks onto a daytime talk show and turns a friendly interview into an absolute disaster? It only took one comment about respect to send everything spiraling out of control. Jennifer Hudson's show had become known as a place where celebrities could open up, share their stories, and connect with audiences in a real way. The set was warm and inviting. The audience was always supportive, and Jennifer herself had built a reputation as someone who treated every guest with kindness and genuine curiosity. She wasn't there to trap anyone or create drama. She just wanted to have honest conversations. So when Meghan Markle was announced as a guest, everyone expected it to be another one of those heartfelt sit-downs. Maybe they'd talk about life changes, maybe about finding your voice, maybe about the challenges of being in the public eye. The audience filed in that day, expecting inspiration and maybe a few laughs. What they got, instead, was something nobody saw coming. The interview started off normal enough. Jennifer welcomed Meghan onto the stage with a huge smile and a warm hug. The audience clapped and cheered. Meghan waved and smiled as she made her way to the guest chair. She was wearing an elegant outfit, perfectly put together as always. Jennifer complimented her right away. "You look absolutely stunning," Jennifer said as they both sat down. Meghan smiled and smoothed her outfit. "Well, thank you. I do try." There was something about the way she said it, just a little edge. But Jennifer laughed it off and jumped right into the conversation. She asked about Meghan's recent projects, about her life, about how she was doing. Standard opening questions. The kind that usually get the conversation flowing, but Meghan's answers were short, clipped. She wasn't really engaging. Jennifer tried different angles, asking about her passions, her goals, things she cared about. Each time, Meghan would give these brief responses that didn't really go anywhere. The energy in the room started to feel a little off. The audience could sense it too. There was a tension building. Jennifer, being the professional she is, kept pushing forward. She smiled wider, leaned in more, tried to make Meghan feel comfortable. "I love having these conversations," Jennifer said warmly. "It's so important to create a space where people can just be themselves." Meghan tilted her head slightly. "A space? Is that what you call this?" Jennifer looked a little confused but kept her smile. "Well, yes. I hope everyone who comes on the show feels like they can relax and just talk." "Relax?" Meghan repeated, and there was definitely an edge to her voice now. "That's interesting." The audience started to shift in their seats. This wasn't going the way anyone expected. Jennifer tried to redirect. "I just mean that I want my guests to feel at ease. That's all." Meghan leaned back in her chair and crossed her legs. "You know what's fascinating to me, Jennifer? How talk show hosts always act like they're doing their guests this huge favor. Like we should be grateful to be here." Jennifer's smile faltered for just a second. "I don't think anyone's suggesting that. I'm grateful that you're here." "Are you?" Meghan asked. The question hung in the air. "Because it seems to me like you've been asking some pretty basic questions, almost like you didn't prepare." The audience gasped. You could hear it ripple through the room. Jennifer sat up a little straighter. "I actually spent a lot of time preparing for this interview. I wanted to make sure we covered topics that mattered to you." Meghan waved her hand dismissively. "Topics that mattered to me? You asked me about my outfit, Jennifer." "My outfit?" "That was a compliment," Jennifer said, and there was still kindness in her voice, but you could hear the confusion too. "I genuinely thought you looked beautiful." "Of course you did," Meghan said, "because that's what people always focus on, isn't it? How we look, what we're wearing. Never mind what we're actually doing or saying." Jennifer took a breath. "I actually asked you about your work, about your projects. You're the one who gave short answers." That's when things really started to escalate. Meghan sat forward in her chair. "Short answers? Maybe I gave short answers because the questions were superficial." The audience was dead silent now. Everyone was watching this unfold in real time. Jennifer maintained her composure, but you could see her processing what was happening. "I'm sorry you feel that way," she said carefully. "That wasn't my intention at all." "Intention?" Meghan said with a laugh that didn't sound amused. "Everyone always talks about intention, but what about impact? What about respect?" "I have nothing but respect for you," Jennifer said firmly. "I respect you, I respect your time, and I respect this conversation we're having." Meghan shook her head. "Do you though? Because from where I'm sitting, it feels like I'm just another guest you can check off your list. Another name to bring in viewers." Jennifer's expression shifted. She was still trying to be kind, still trying to keep things together, but there was a strength coming through now. That's not fair. Every person who sits in that chair matters to me. Every story matters, including yours. My story, Meghan said, and her voice was getting louder. You don't know anything about my story. Then tell me, Jennifer said, opening her hands. That's why you're here. I'm listening. But Meghan wasn't interested in sharing anymore. She was on a roll now. You know what the problem is with shows like this? Everyone pretends to care. Everyone pretends to be interested, but really, you just want the drama. You want the sound bites. You want something you can clip and share and turn into headlines. Jennifer shook her head slowly. That's not what this show is. About, if you watched even one episode, you'd know that. If I watched? Meghan's voice shot up. Are you seriously implying that I didn't do my research? That I didn't prepare? I'm not implying anything, Jennifer said, and her voice was calm but firm. I'm telling you that you don't seem to understand what we do here. This is a place for real conversation, not attacks. The word attacks seemed to set something off. Meghan stood up from her chair. Attacks? You think I'm attacking you? Jennifer stayed seated, looking up at her guest. You've questioned my preparation, my intentions, my respect, and the entire purpose of my show. So, yes, it feels like you're being hostile. Hostile, Meghan repeated, pacing now. I'm being hostile because I'm standing up for myself? Because I'm not just sitting here nodding and smiling and playing along? No one asked you to just play along, Jennifer said, and there was real emotion in her voice now. I asked you to have a conversation, a real one, but you came in here with an attitude from the start. The audience murmured. Some people were nodding. Others looked shocked. This was unlike anything they'd seen on the show before. Meghan pointed at Jennifer. An attitude? I came in here ready to talk, and you gave me nothing. Nothing substantial, nothing real. Jennifer stood up now, too. I gave you respect. I gave you time. I gave you a platform, and you've spent the entire interview tearing me down instead of building anything up. A platform, Meghan scoffed. There it is. You think you're giving me a platform, like I need you, like I need this show. Then why did you come? Jennifer asked. And it was a genuine question. If you think so little of what we do here, why did you agree to be a guest? Meghan didn't have an answer for that. She just stared at Jennifer, her jaw tight. Jennifer continued, her voice steady. I work hard on this show. My team works hard. We create something that people connect with, that people trust, and I will not stand here and let you disrespect that. Disrespect, Meghan said quietly. But there was venom in it. You want to talk about disrespect? How about the way I've been treated since I walked through that door? The condescending tone, the basic questions, the fake interest. There was nothing fake about my interest, Jennifer said, and you could hear the hurt in her voice now. I was excited to talk to you. I thought we could have something meaningful, but you didn't come here for that. Oh, so now you're a mind reader? Meghan shot back. You know why I came here? I know that you've been looking for a fight since you sat down, Jennifer said. And I don't know why, but I'm not going to keep doing this. Meghan crossed her arms. So what are you saying? Jennifer took a deep breath. The whole audience was holding theirs. I'm saying that I think we should end this interview. The gasp from the audience was even louder this time. Ending an interview early was unheard of. Jennifer didn't do that. She powered through difficult conversations. She found ways to connect with people. But this was different. Meghan laughed, but it was a harsh sound. You're ending the interview? You're actually ending it? I think it's best, Jennifer said quietly. This isn't productive for either of us. Productive? Meghan said, shaking her head. This is unbelievable. You invite me on your show, you waste my time with terrible questions, and now you're kicking me out? I'm not kicking you out, Jennifer said, trying to keep her voice even. I'm recognizing that this isn't working. Because of me, right? Meghan challenged. It's all my fault? Jennifer looked at her directly. I think you came here with expectations that were never going to be met. And I think you decided before you even sat down that you weren't going to give this a real chance. That's ridiculous, Meghan said. Is it? Jennifer asked. Because from the very first question, you've been defensive and dismissive. I've tried to be warm. I've tried to be open. I've tried to understand where you're coming from. But you won't let me in. Meghan's face was flushed now. Maybe I won't let you in because I don't trust you. Then why are you here? Jennifer asked again, more forcefully this time. Why did you come on a show hosted by someone you don't trust? Meghan didn't answer. She just stood there, breathing hard, clearly furious. Jennifer softened her voice just a little. Look, I get it. Being in the public eye is hard. Having people question everything you do is exhausting. But I'm not your enemy. I never was. You don't get to tell me what you are, Meghan said. You don't get to decide that. You're right, Jennifer nodded. But you don't get to come into my house and tear it down either. The audience started clapping. Just a few people at first, then more. They were supporting Jennifer, standing by her. Meghan looked out at the audience, seeming surprised by the reaction. Of course, she said bitterly. Of course they're on your side. This isn't about sides, Jennifer said. This is about respect, and you haven't shown any. I haven't shown respect? Meghan's voice was rising again. I'm the one who's been disrespected here. I'm the one who's been subjected to this amateur hour interview. Jennifer's eyes flashed. That one clearly stung. Amateur hour? I've won awards for this show. I've had incredible conversations with incredible people, but I guess none of that matters to you. Not when you're treating me like this, Meghan said. Treating you like what? Jennifer demanded. Like a guest? Like a human being? I've been nothing but kind to you. Kind, Meghan repeated mockingly. You think kindness means asking surface-level questions and expecting me to just smile and answer them? I think kindness means giving someone the benefit of the doubt, Jennifer said. Something you clearly can't. They were both standing now, facing each other. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. The audience was completely silent again, watching this battle of wills play out. Meghan took a step closer to Jennifer. You know what your problem is? You can't handle someone who doesn't just go along with your program. You need everyone to follow your script. There's no script, Jennifer said, standing her ground. There's just respect and conversation. Two things you seem incapable of. Incapable? Meghan's voice went up another notch. You're calling me incapable? I'm saying you're not willing, Jennifer corrected. You're not willing to meet me halfway. You're not willing to be vulnerable or real. You just want to be angry. Don't tell me what I want, Meghan said, pointing at Jennifer again. You don't know me. You're right, I don't, Jennifer said. And at this point, I don't want to. I wanted to have a conversation. I wanted to learn about you. But you've made that impossible. Meghan laughed again, that same harsh sound. So that's it? You're just done? Yes, Jennifer said simply. I am. The finality in her voice seemed to shock Meghan. For a moment, she just stood there, mouth slightly open, like she couldn't believe what she was hearing. Fine, Meghan finally said. Fine. I don't need this. I don't need you. Then we agree on something, Jennifer said quietly. Meghan grabbed her purse from beside the chair. Her hands were shaking slightly. Whether from anger or embarrassment, it was hard to tell. This is going to make you look terrible, she said. You know that, right? Kicking a guest off your show? Jennifer met her eyes steadily. I'm not kicking you off. You're leaving. And I think everyone here understands why. More applause from the audience. Stronger this time. They were firmly on Jennifer's side. Meghan looked around at all the faces staring at her. You're all sheep, she said to the audience. Just following along, believing whatever she tells you. Hey, Jennifer said sharply. Don't talk to my audience like that. They didn't do anything to you. They're sitting here judging me, Meghan shot back. Because of how you've behaved, Jennifer said. Not because of anything I said. Meghan's face was bright red now. I can't believe this. I actually can't believe this is happening. Believe it, Jennifer said. And maybe next time you agree to do an interview, think about why you're really doing it. What's that supposed to mean? Meghan demanded. It means maybe you should ask yourself if you actually want to connect with people or if you just want to be right, Jennifer said. Because today, all you wanted was to fight. That's not true, Meghan said, but her voice wavered just a little. Then prove me wrong, Jennifer challenged. Sit back down. Let's start over. Have a real conversation with me. For just a second, it looked like Meghan might actually consider it. Her eyes flicked to the chair, then back to Jennifer. But then she shook her head. No, she said. I'm done here. Okay, Jennifer said. Then I wish you well. It was such a simple statement, but somehow it felt more powerful than anything else that had been said. Jennifer wasn't yelling. She wasn't insulting Meghan. She was just done. Meghan seemed thrown by it. That's all you have to say? What else do you want me to say? Jennifer asked. We tried. It didn't work. That's okay. It's not okay, Meghan insisted. None of this is okay. Then I'm sorry you feel that way, Jennifer said. But I'm not going to keep arguing with you. Meghan stood there for another long moment, clearly wanting to say more but not quite knowing what. Finally, she turned and started walking toward the exit. The audience stayed quiet, watching her go. She made it about halfway before she stopped and turned back around. "You're going to regret this," she said to Jennifer. Jennifer just shook her head sadly. "The only thing I regret is that we couldn't find a way to make this work." "Because of you?" Meghan said. "If that's what you need to believe," Jennifer replied calmly. That seemed to be the final straw. Meghan turned back around and marched off the stage. Her heels clicked loudly on the floor in the silence. Everyone watched as she disappeared through the exit. The door closed behind her with a heavy thud. Jennifer stood there for a moment, just breathing. Then she turned to her audience. "Well," she said, and there was exhaustion in her voice. That was unexpected. The audience erupted in applause. They were standing now, giving Jennifer a standing ovation. She looked surprised by it, touched even. Her eyes got a little misty. "Thank you," she said quietly. "Thank you for being here and witnessing that. I'm sorry you had to see it get so heated." But the audience kept clapping. They understood. They saw what happened. They saw how hard Jennifer tried to make it work. They saw how patient she was, how kind she tried to be. Even when Meghan was attacking her, Jennifer wiped at her eyes quickly. "You know, when I started this show, I promised myself that it would always be a place of positivity. A place where people could come and feel safe and heard. And I still believe in that." The applause grew louder. "But I also believe in respecting myself and respecting all of you," Jennifer continued. "And I couldn't let that conversation continue the way it was going. I just couldn't." Someone in the audience shouted, "You did the right thing." Others echoed the sentiment. Jennifer smiled, a real smile this time. "I hope so. I really hope so." Because that was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do on this show. She walked over to her chair and sat down heavily, like the weight of what just happened was finally hitting her. "I really wanted to connect with her," she said quietly. "I thought we could have a good conversation. I prepared for it. I was excited about it." The audience was listening intently now, hanging on every word. "But sometimes," Jennifer said, looking out at them, "sometimes people aren't in a place where they can receive what you're trying to give. And that's not your fault. You can be as kind and as open as you want, but if the other person isn't willing to meet you there, there's nothing you can do." More applause. People were nodding, relating to what she was saying. "I've learned a lot in my life," Jennifer went on. "I've learned about grace and forgiveness and giving people second chances. But I've also learned about boundaries, about knowing when something isn't healthy." And that conversation wasn't healthy. The audience agreed loudly. Jennifer took a deep breath and squared her shoulders. "So we're going to move on. We're going to take a quick break, reset, and come back with some joy. Because that's what this show is supposed to be about. Joy and connection and lifting each other up," the audience cheered. "We'll be right back," Jennifer said to the camera, and then the show cut to commercial. But everyone in that studio knew they'd just witnessed something extraordinary. They'd seen a host stand up for herself and her show. They'd seen someone try their absolute best to make something work, only to realize that sometimes you have to let go. They'd seen grace under pressure. And they'd seen exactly what happens when someone mistakes kindness for weakness. Jennifer had been kind. She'd been patient. She'd been professional, but she wasn't weak. She knew her worth. She knew what her show stood for. When Meghan tried to tear that down, tried to make it seem like Jennifer's kindness was somehow a flaw, Jennifer didn't back down. She didn't apologize for being who she was. She simply drew a line and said, "Enough." That moment, that decision to end the interview, it wasn't easy. You could see it on Jennifer's face. This wasn't something she wanted to do. She didn't enjoy conflict. She didn't get satisfaction from asking someone to leave. But she did it anyway, because it was the right thing to do. The audience understood that. They saw a woman who had tried everything to make a difficult situation work, who had extended olive branch after olive branch, only to have them slapped away, who had remained composed and dignified, even when being insulted and belittled. And in the end, they saw her choose herself, choose her peace, choose her show and what it stood for. That's why they stood and applauded. That's why they shouted their support. Because they recognized strength when they saw it. Meghan had come onto that stage with some kind of chip on her shoulder. Maybe she had reasons for it. Maybe she'd been through things that made her defensive. But whatever the cause, she'd taken it out on someone who didn't deserve it. Someone who was only trying to create a positive space. Every question Jennifer asked was met with suspicion. Every Compliment was twisted into something negative. Every attempt at connection was rebuffed. It was like watching someone actively try to sabotage a conversation while simultaneously complaining that the conversation wasn't good enough. And through it all, Jennifer remained steady. She didn't match Meghan's energy. She didn't get drawn into a screaming match. She stayed true to who she was, even as she was being provoked. That took incredible strength. When Jennifer finally said enough was enough, it wasn't out of anger. It was out of self-respect. She recognized that continuing the conversation would only make things worse. That sometimes the kindest thing you can do for everyone involved is to end something that isn't working. Meghan's parting shot about Jennifer regretting it showed that she still didn't understand. She thought this was about winning or losing, about who would look better or worse. But Jennifer wasn't thinking about any of that. She was thinking about maintaining the integrity of her show and respecting herself. The way Jennifer addressed the audience afterward showed her true character. She didn't badmouth Meghan. She didn't try to turn everyone against her. She simply shared her feelings, acknowledged how hard it was, and talked about the importance of boundaries. She validated her own experience without invalidating Meghan as a person. She stood firm in her decision while still showing empathy for how difficult the situation was. That's the mark of someone who truly understands grace. The standing ovation wasn't just about this one incident. It was about everything Jennifer represented: her warmth, her authenticity, her willingness to be vulnerable while also being strong. The audience was telling her that they saw her, they appreciated her, and they supported her. In that moment, Jennifer had shown everyone watching what real strength looks like. It's not about being loud or aggressive. It's not about tearing other people down. It's about knowing your worth and not letting anyone make you compromise it. Meghan had tried to make Jennifer feel small, to make her question herself and her show, but it didn't work. Jennifer knew who she was. She knew what she'd built, and she wasn't going to let anyone take that away from her, no matter how much they pushed. The whole thing was a masterclass in handling conflict with dignity. Jennifer never lost her cool, even when being directly attacked. She never resorted to insults or low blows. She simply stated her truth, drew her boundaries, and stood by her decision. That's what made the moment so powerful. It wasn't dramatic for the sake of drama. It was a real person dealing with a difficult situation in the best way she knew how. And sometimes, the best way means saying goodbye, even when it's hard. The audience felt that authenticity. They recognized that what they were witnessing was real and raw and honest. Jennifer wasn't performing for them. She was just being herself, navigating an impossible situation with as much grace as she could muster. And in doing so, she showed everyone watching that it's okay to protect your peace. It's okay to end things that aren't serving you. It's okay to choose yourself, even when it's uncomfortable. That interview, or what was supposed to be an interview, became about so much more than just two people talking. It became a statement about respect, about boundaries, about knowing when to hold on and when to let go. Jennifer had given Meghan every opportunity to turn things around. Multiple times, she extended chances to start fresh, to have a real conversation, to connect. But Meghan was too caught up in whatever she was feeling to accept any of it, and Jennifer couldn't force it. She couldn't make Meghan want to engage genuinely. All she could do was control her own response, her own behavior, her own boundaries. And that's exactly what she did. The decision to end the interview early took courage. It would have been easier to just push through, to try to salvage something, anything from the conversation. But Jennifer knew that wouldn't be authentic. It wouldn't be true to who she was or what her show represented. So she made the hard choice. The choice that felt scary in the moment, but right in her heart. She trusted herself enough to know what needed to happen, and then she followed through. That's the kind of leadership the audience responded to. Not someone who just goes along to avoid conflict, but someone who stands up when necessary, who protects what matters, who values integrity over comfort. When the show came back from commercial, Jennifer had composed herself. She welcomed the next segment with a smile, ready to move forward, because that's what you do. You don't dwell in the negativity. You acknowledge it, you handle it, and then you keep going. The audience was still buzzing with energy from what had happened. They'd never forget being in that studio for that moment. They'd witnessed something real and powerful and important, and Jennifer had reminded everyone, including herself, that kindness doesn't mean being a doormat. That being warm and welcoming doesn't mean accepting disrespect. That you can be all the good things you want to be while still standing firm in who you are. That day on Jennifer Hudson's show became about more than just a failed interview. It became a teaching moment about dignity, about self-respect, about the importance of boundaries. And it showed everyone watching that even in the most uncomfortable situations, you can choose grace. Jennifer chose grace. Even when being attacked, even when being insulted, even when it would have been so easy to lash out, she chose grace. And in doing so, she proved that real strength isn't about overpowering someone else. It's about staying true to yourself, no matter what. The whole thing lasted maybe 20 minutes, but the impact of those 20 minutes would resonate far beyond that studio. Because everyone who saw it learned something valuable about how to handle conflict, how to respect yourself, and how to know when enough is enough. And at the center of it all was Jennifer, standing in her truth, protecting her peace, and showing the world what it really means to be strong.